right?
Yeah.
Sweet. And you guys can talk to each other too.
Cool.
To be whatever feels comfortable with the answer.
Right on.
So if you guys could start, please, Ian first, just say your names and your job or role here, or in John's case, that you live here and previous role here.
I'm Ian MacBride. I'm the owner of Short and Sweet Ice Cream. I took over the business from this guy in 2022. So this is my third season serving up the best ice cream on Cape Cod.
Very good.
Thanks.
I'm John Newton, and since Ian came here, I don't do much of anything. I sneak down for a free cup of ice cream once a day, and that's about it. We started here
1991.
91, I think, yes. And I think that the first year we were here, we had a little tiny freezer, like that one, and they have grown ever since. The highlight of our being in charge here was having Max live with us for a summer.
That'll be for the separate documentary.
Just about.
If you could please, we'll start with Ian first again. Tell us what is unique and historic about the shop.
What's unique about obviously the building. The building is kind of the draw for a lot of people. It's a two-room schoolhouse that was built in around 1905.
Yeah, I think that they set the date for around 1911.
Oh, was it that?
When they opened it.
Oh, okay.
School, yeah.
And it's just an unusual building for Cape Cod with 14-foot ceilings and, you know, the history that goes with the building. I don't know.
I was a little disappointed that when he asked you what was unique about the building, you didn't say it was me.
He came with the building. You know, the charm of an old schoolhouse, the history of it. You know, every day we get asked questions, you know, what was this? Was it a train station? Was it this? Was it that? And then I have to run through the history of it. You know, it was a schoolhouse, and then the town Grange owned it, and it was their meeting house. And it passed through some families until John and my mother-in-law Jan bought it in early 80s?
Yep.
Early 80s, and used it as their dollhouse showroom for about, a decade?
Yeah, roughly. We built dollhouses and marionettes, and after 10 years of doing that, we switched to ice cream because at the very least you could eat your mistakes. We were sure of not starving to death, as we had. It was not a sure thing prior to that. A 19-year-old 8th grader. And the reason they were that old was because back at that time, they would go to school around harvest seasons. So if they were harvesting fish or cranberries or whatever, they'd go to school. So their school career was very spotty, and it took them longer to get through. And apparently he used to ride a white horse to school down the railroad bed. And that was her story to us was that she was swept away by a man on a white horse.
That's great. John, we'll start with you on this one, please. How did your guys' relationship with the Chatham A start, and what has it been like over the last 3 decades?
I'm not sure why it started. I just enjoy baseball more than anything. We were much more involved 20 years ago. We've always housed players since our involvement. And I see now in the booklet that I'm an honorary director. And fortunately, an honorary director has no duties, which makes it very easy for me to bear the mantle of honorary director. But I don't know if I have what the impetus was, other than just I enjoyed the game. And as we became involved with the organization, we became more involved with players, former coaches, the glory years of Rich Hill, where they won a couple of championships. We've stayed in touch with a former pitcher and a catcher on that team, both of whom are on the West Coast.
That's awesome. And Ian, what is it like? Just tell us kind of, so everyone who's never seen it before, how often the players come here, what it's like when they come in, and what you guys do for them.
The players this year in particular have come in quite a bit more than the last couple of years. I think coming out of COVID, kind of took a little time to get things back to where they were. But we see them almost every day off they have. We'll get, different amounts of crews coming through from 2 or 3 players to sometimes 15 at a time. So that's been really great this season to see that. It took a couple years to get back to that, because I know that was the norm pre-COVID here. So to have them come in, get to know them a little bit, and then they bring their families when the families come to visit, and we get to know the families sometimes, and just make a quick connection, and then next thing you know, they're drafted and gone. But yeah, they come in enough that we get to know what their favorite flavors are, what they like to order. And I just hope that makes them feel a little bit more welcome on the Cape, and gives them something to kind of tie them to the Cape for their short time here. A good memory to think about besides just the baseball. There's the community aspect of it. So
That's great.
When we started, of course, it's free. And nothing moves product like free. We told them they had 3 requirements to earn their free ice cream. They had to sign autographs for any little kids that happened to be in here when they came in. They had to tip the staff liberally. And the third and most difficult, most important, was that when they make the big leagues, John would get tickets to the World Series.
those rules are still in place.
So far, we've hit 2 out of 3.
They're still in place. There's, we still I give the spiel, especially when I get a large group of them in. I'll probably start getting some new faces in now that the draft has happened and some players have come and gone. And so as they come in, we give them the spiel, and it's still World Series tickets for Jen and John, not for me.
You got to be able to get 3 tickets.
I can ask for 3. Maybe I'll up it to 3. But yeah, they win, we win. They bring in their families, they bring in their host families. They hang out on their days off and chat baseball, and so it's just it's a good vibe.
I think last thing, we'll start with you, John. What did it mean for you and Jan to be able to keep it in the family and have Ian step up the way that he did for you guys?
Well, I don't have chasing very far from the rent. I don't know if we had thoughts of dynasty as much as we were tired. It was time to let someone else do it. It came at a time when he was ready to make a move from the West Coast, and so everything went very smoothly as far as that was concerned. The hallmark of my life is I don't plan a lot of anything. Pretty much that's true with this change. What do you think?
Me taking over the shop and keeping it in the family, I think, has been really important to the community. They've known. I think he's been trying to sell the shop since the first day he opened. So, it took him 30 plus years to find a buyer. I get at least once a week someone coming in saying, yeah, he tried to sell it to me. That's almost once a week. But the response from the local just by me taking it over. And yeah, the people that have been coming here now for 3 decades plus, you know, are especially grateful that it stayed in the family.
And what is it like having them still upstairs?
There's always coffee, which is great. It's been huge. I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I took over in 2022. I honestly had not spent much time in this place in the 20 years I've been a part of the family. When we did visit, it was usually in the off season, so I never really saw it at peak operation.
You had your reception here
Yeah, but that was in September.
in a hurricane.
In a hurricane. It was our rehearsal dinner. It was had a lot of questions, and they were hugely helpful. John, that first season, would pop down when I was short-staffed because I didn't know how to schedule, and help me scoop when I'd get little rushes, or he'd cover for me if I had to go pick a kid up from school or whatever. So had they not been here, I don't know if our first season would have been as successful. So I'm very grateful that they were around, and coffee.
But at some point, you'll be grateful when we're not.
Oh, stop it.
Anything else you guys want? I think that's great. Yeah, thank you guys.
Awesome.